Hey everybody, it's RN here. Laura Brino has a new single out called A Little Bit. It just released today, and I was fortunate enough to have produced it and played a bunch of instruments on it. So yeah, I want to do a little production deconstruction on it. Mike Mansour did the master. We're going to listen to my files just straight from Logic. It's out on Spotify. Go listen to the master because Mike did a great job. He always does a great job. And yeah, so let's get into it. So Laura wanted this song to be kind of earthy, and she also had a garage band project she did for herself with a lot of synthesizers, VST instruments that I got to pull into Logic. That was very helpful. Kept a lot of that stuff, modified a lot of it as well. Sweet. So let's listen from the beginning. So I played mandolin and banjo on it. It starts with mandolin and banjo. And then vocal, piano.
Meet me by the tree where we carved our names, the edge of 23. I was just a kid, I feared I couldn't make things better. You taught me this was forever. I know this is the road we chose. I know.
Drums, Jason Butcher.
Oh, take us back to the road where we can find. Oh.
Also, these are some of Laura's synths right here. Did a little bit of EQ on this one, Dreamy air guitar. And then on pad filter brass, I froze this, but I did some filter sweeps on it. And I think I added a tremolo, so it pulsed. Just all these things I'm just trying to give a little bit of movement to, so that there's more interesting. So if you just play a synthesizer note, it can be very boring very fast. So, a lot of things we'll do, hit the mod wheel, or I'm using a lot of tremolos and stuff. But yeah, so let's keep listening.
Oh, take us back to the road where
That's me trying to call back to the vocal with the banjo. And then kind of the same melody contour, but just a little bit different rhythm.
take us back
Call and
to
response,
the
some might
road
say.
where we can find. Oh, the little parts that we left behind. I promise we'll both find our way. I know you told me you are
Real drums to
scared, but I've got
electronic
this
drums.
just a little bit.
So Laura's genre is called mom pop. So we've got the earthiness of the mandolins and banjos, and a lot of times acoustic guitar, but not on this one. There's no acoustic guitar on this one. Weird fun fact. It's a rare song that doesn't have acoustic guitar for Laura. But then we have all these electronic drums, and a lot of these she sent, and I kept mostly as is. Added reverb, added a couple more snares. Here's the fun thing I added is this, it's like a tom, do 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 do, and I just played on my keyboard da 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 da, and as I played it, I turned the pitch up do 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 do, so you can hear that here. Just did that by hand. Also, I'm pretty sure this is like Nine Inch Nails. Wanna eat like an animal. I wanna feel you from the inside. You'll never hear a Laura Brino song the same again. You didn't know I snuck Nine Inch Nails and Laura snuck Nine Inch Nails into this song. Okay, so another big thing I did in this song that I don't do often, but I should do more, is kind of make a lot of chops. So you can hear it in this vocal especially. She's saying, oh, 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 oh. And you can hear the volume after the reverb. Oh, oh, really cuts it off. So also a big thing with this production is there's a lot of stuff that sounds like kind of not perfect, but in the mix sounds fine. So I play that one part, but there's other vocals that don't have the chop. In fact, they're like long. So together, it kind of, that rhythm of the chop is not perfect, but together they sound good. So that's a big philosophy thing that I've been embracing, is like, doesn't matter what it sounds like solo. The only people who are ever going to hear it solo are me and now people who are watching this. But it matters what it sounds like in context, with EQ, compression, effects, performance, tuning. If it sounds good in the track, it sounds good in the track.
I'm just a little bit. I'm just a little bit.
And this is something we have to do often, is just solo the vocals. Because there's so many lovely layers of background vocals.
I'm just a little bit. I'm just a little bit.
Didn't even notice that there's a vocal that has fast, choppy tremolo on it. Here's another big thing I did in this song a lot of. Laura has a very beautiful voice, so, but too much of a good thing is not good. We need some contrast. Fortunately, Laura's voice also takes distortion and effects really well. And we did this on like one song on the previous record. I think it was Cactus Moon, where we really distorted her voice. And it was like one of my favorite parts of the whole record. She just kind of yells and just like, ah. So here's some distortion and formant shifting. Lovely. And it makes her voice like an actual, just like an instrument instead of and there's a lot of times where she'll sing something and be like, hey, make that an instrument. Do that on pedal steel or something. And I even have a note here, vocal pedal steel. I didn't. I just made her vocal into its own instrument. So there's a neat, I'm not allowed to say cool anymore. I use it too many times. This little scene change, the filter sweep. And that sounds horrible on its own, but it sounds good in the track. Okay. Back to real drums. Jason Butcher is the man. We'll talk more about him shortly. But now we get to talk about me. Here is this lovely guitar. So this is the Gretsch I keep next to me kind of all the time. Gary Wright sold me this lovely instrument. I don't know why he sold it. He's a fool. But thank you, Gary. So it ends up on just like every song I've been working on recently. I love having a Bixby. And I didn't even use an amp. I just plugged directly into one of my preamps and went into the new Universal Audio Paradise Guitar Studio. It's just so easy and so fast. So a ton of compression, crazy. And that, and a Space Echo plugin, even though I have the real thing, and a reverb to give it a very washed out sound.
Meet me by the sea.
And I also added, she had written in some Mellotron flutes, but by the time we got to this point in the production, I don't know why they didn't work. I think they were just long held out notes. And in this, I made it a pulse. Da, 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 da. So it's kind of a nice guitar duet moment here with the flutes, Mellotron flutes. All right, go back to the top of that. So this is a scene change. I love scene changes in songs. We already had that where we went from the mandolin and banjo to the electronic drums, and now we've got the spacious electric guitar washy thing. Real drums. And that's my bass. I played bass on a bunch of this, and Mac Pretty played some bass on this. There's my JMJ. Another great moment of Laura's instrument as a vocal as an instrument, and that was one where she said, "Hey, play this on pedal steel," and I just, that sounds awesome.
Rented poetry, we had just aged out. I touched gray hairs on your jawline.
So there's some fun stuff here. Originally, this lead vocal was all of these vocals. I left gray hairs on the jawline we touched, but it was like hard to sing, and and I thought it was a good opportunity to, like, you know, she loves Taylor Swift and stuff, and there's a lot of like hocketing, or like the lead says one thing and then the background vocals on the left and right say something else. So it's kind of like a conversation, call and response. You're sensing some common themes here amongst my productions, call and response.
Had just aged out. Gray hairs on your jawline. The keynote for the sidelines. This is the road we chose.
It's kind of like having a conversation with yourself, you know? Like, it's the angel and the demon on your shoulders. I know. And there's also some overdubbed vocals on top of the lead vocal. Let's check this out.
We had just aged out. I touched gray hairs on your jawline. The keynote for the sideline.
So here's a big thing I did a lot in this production is formant shifting her vocal. So we can look at the formant shifter here. So that's just Laura, but here's normal. With like a lot of distortion. It sounds horrible on its own. Like that distortion sounds terrible, but it made it fit in the mix. That's all that matters, right? It's a hard pill to swallow. All the artists always are like, "Hey, can you play?" And me included, are like, "Hey, can I hear my guitar in solo?" And you're just like, as an engineer producer, you're like, "You don't want to hear it in solo because that doesn't matter." But everyone wants to hear their instrument in solo. Hey, it doesn't sound huge. I want it to sound huge. And you go, well, listen to like Jimmy Page's guitar. It doesn't sound huge. It sounds tiny, but lets the bass be the low end, and together, cumulatively, they sound huge. So that's kind of same concept in this production. A lot of things sound bad by themselves, but they sound good in the track.
Gray hairs on your jawline, the keynote for the sidelines. This is the road we chose. We'll die together.
Nice little mandolin moment there. I don't think you get to hear. Oh.
We'll die together. Take us back.
All right, this is where I get to stroke my own ego. This part, get to do some womps on the bass. I love doing fall downs. Crazy. And this was something I was very worried that Laura would say, "Hey, that is not good. That is not the vibe of the song." But here it is these guitars, fuzz guitars. Just this guitar, the Gretsch. And then I also double that with some keyboards, some synths. I don't think they sound that great, but they kind of reinforce the unnaturalness of the guitar. That whistly thing. And I did label these Dr. Dre sound, Gorgon from Zelda, and Jump from Van Halen. When I was just dialing in the retro synth, those are presets I saved. I was like, that sounds like a Gorgon from Zelda.
Take us back to the
And check it out, that call and response I talked about, the vocal, and then the banjo.
take us
Ba-ba-da, ba-ba-da-da.
back to the road where we can find.
And then also this lovely guitar that's very like ethereal. Lots of compression, space echo.
Miss, we'll both-
So here's just the instrumental. And hear how those sound in time in the track, but they didn't sound in time. The fuzz chops didn't sound in time by themselves. Why does that happen? I don't know. Okay, here's another ego stroke moment from me, is that we all of us producers have this plugin called Crystallizer. And if you listen to this track, you'll hear this guitar thing and you think it's Crystallizer, but it's not. It's me just tapping. So let's find it.
Told me you are scared, but I've got this. I'm just a
No, let's not talk about that yet. All right, so this is just like a kind of a tapping thing, arpeggiator. And this is kind of neat how the banjo and this guitar kind of blend into melding into one. So listen to that.
way. Told
Banjo.
me you are scared, but I've got this. I'm just a little bit.
It's kind of weird how that happens. Let's see, what else do we have? Here's one of Laura's synths. Just texture. And then getting over a cold.
I'm just a little bit.
Okay, we've got a bass line that I threw in. All right, so bass line has like an auto wah filter on it, and then I doubled it with this guitar that's got some pitch shifting, like micro shift on it. It's not like particularly tight, but it sounds fine in the track. Okay, so here's the ego stroking moment for myself that I said was going to come. So every producer has this thing called Crystallizer, and it makes basically this sound. But this is not Crystallizer. This is me playing. I'll take off the Crystallizer-y things and show you what it sounds like. Or here, I'll show you what it sounds like first, and then take off all that stuff. And check it out. It's a whammy pedal. It's a pan knob, and it's a reverb. And the reverb mix is going to change, the pan's going to change, and the whammy is going to change. It's just me tapping. Kind of arpeggios of the chords. I like when the mix knob changes right here. Crazy. And in the track, it sounds like this. Oh, here, I'll play it with no effects on. So it sounds probably terrible. There is some kind of like micro shifter on it. Yeah, micro pitch shifter. So without that, I'll turn the distortion back on. Terrible. But with all the cool stuff, it's just like a chaos element. So that's fun. And then banjo. Nice. Again, Laura's voice with distortion and probably a little bit formant shifting and moving the formant shift. I think that's we're just foreshadowing more stuff. Here's another fun thing. That bop, 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 bop is not a synthesizer. That is a bass guitar that there's the automation going and a tremolo. So without it, and there's like 2 layers of it, and it's got a auto funk filter on it. Cool. So another thing we're trying to do is like we've got so many vocals, trying to differentiate them and have as many as we can play at the same time. Because Laura is just brimming with wonderful melodic ideas. So we've got this little bit, just a little bit, and then oh. So again with that, a little bit, just a little bit, very dry, pan left and right, and then these are very wet and distorted. Love that so much. And you can really hear her synths here. And we do have a pumping low bass synth that she wrote. That's great. And I think it's pumping and being sidechained to the kick drum, probably. Nice cymbal swell right here with mallets. Lovely. Also, these drum tones, we'll talk about them. We'll talk about it. Yeah, we'll talk about it right now. Jason's awesome. There's not too much going on. Just a little bit of EQ, a little bit of a gate to make it sound poppier. You know, overheads. And so I'm just trying to put it on a couple things that make it analog gluey from the top, from the get-go. The True Iron, which is a transformer emulation tape, EQ, just dip, compression, almost not doing a lot. Well, sort of. I think the only like trick I used was the kick drum. I did do a sub kick, which is this Boz Digital thing. Could have done the song without it. It would have been fine. Yeah, Jason's great. He's about to have a moment here. That's another fun moment that is a favorite moment of mine. This distorted vocal right here. Oh, I forgot to talk about this chop. This is great. Yeah, so in the bridge, the breakdown with the acoustic guitar, the mandolin and the banjo, the acoustic section, There's all these great vocals. And I did this chop thing just to make it sound like a synth, like a vocal sample. And it's like changing format shifting, let's see, and changing EQ. This is psychotic, but whatever. So check it out. Format shift, changing EQ. And this is all just to make things interesting. Probably mostly for me. She wrote this cool synth line, which we didn't like. It says, Arn replace this sound. I didn't replace it. I just kind of added guitars to it. So here it is by itself. And I think I added these guitars and went with the vocal. Yeah. And the synth stays the same on the same note. So all together. And then the bass gets this melody. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. That's the bass. And there's a great vocal. I love these distorted vocals. Millennial Whoop. Chop. Banjo back in. I actually snuck a vocal in here. Take us back to the road that we... It doesn't... You can barely hear it. It just kind of fills out the low end on this.
Take us back to the road where we can find all the little parts that got left behind. I promise we'll find our way.
Another very favorite moment in the song. Killer. Alright, and then the other favorite moment in this song. What's that? Snare drum. So this is just amazing. Jason Butcher is just lovely human and a great drummer and a great singer and guitar player too, and songwriter. I'm such a sucker for snare fills and for snare rolls and for crescendos. And look, I think he did maybe 2 or 3 takes of this whole song, and then we just did this whole one take and a punch in. That's it. That's Jason Butcher. There's no quantization. There's no flex time. That's just Jason. And look, a lot of this stuff, this is just normal. Kick drum is a little bit ahead of the beat. Psh, that's just normal. Deal with it. And sometimes you go and fix these things and then you start chasing your tail. Once you've fixed that, well, then the snare feels a little too early as well or whatever. So my secret is I get the best musicians I can get to play on songs. And there's stuff that's like this that only bothers you if you're looking at it. It doesn't bother you if you're listening to it. So I've tried to not fuck with things if they sound good.
I got this, I'm just a little bit. I'm just a little bit.
Here's all the vocals.
I'm just a little bit. Ooh, little bit, I'm just a little bit. Little bit, I'm just a little bit. Meet me by the tree where
And then it ends how it began.
Edge of 23. I
mandolin,
This is the road we chose.
vocal. Now, I will say, I did chop up do a couple edits to the banjo and mandolin, because I did this before the drums, and usually I like to do things after the drums are recorded, because, drummer's going to have their own push and pull against the tempo, against the click, against the beat, like, oh, see, that hits almost perfect. That one's a little head, but it feels good. That's all that matters. But you run into these situations where you track too much stuff before the drums, and then the drums make things different, and you go, I should have just tracked drums. And then, but chicken egg situation. If you don't have anything before you record drums, what will the drummer play to? So yeah, this song was a challenge. We had not a lot of this stuff for the longest time, and Laura was happy and I was not. I was very not stoked on this song because it just didn't entertain my ADD enough. It didn't tickle my ears enough, not enough ear candy. So one night I just, she gave me a deadline, and one night I just stayed up all night and worked on it till 5 a.m. or something, for like 9 or 10 hours straight, and just did basically all the cool stuff that I say I did here, with all these guitars and all these synth moves and all the muting and all the filtering and all the formant shifting and all the chopping, and just made every couple seconds there's something that changes, and so new sound. And then finally I was like, okay, I like it. Here it is. And she was stoked before I did any of this stuff. And then now I'm stoked on it. But it was, the amount of procrastination I did on this song was epic. So yeah, the song's out now a little bit by Laura Brino, with Mac Pretty on bass, me on bass also, Jason Butcher on drums, me on a lot of stuff, Laura on synths and vocals. It's great. They've got a show coming up. Let's see, I've got it right here. At Cult Classic this Sunday, 3 to 5, with Madison Bailey, Carly Winter, Meg Murray. Should be great. Full band show for Laura. Songbird Collective show. And yeah, the song is out, streaming everywhere. Thanks everybody who played on the song. You all make me sound better than I really am at doing this. Thanks Mike Mansour for mastering this. He always makes it sound better. So we were listening to the non-mastered version, just my mix, but the Spotify has Mike's master. It's glorious. All right, see y'all next time.